Ray Garrity. You can call me Ray.
Prima Breeze.
Hank Olson's the name. Walking's my game.
What's up, guys? Today we're talking about The Long Walk, directed by Francis Lawrence, with a screenplay by JT Mollner adapted from a story by Stephen King. Every year, 50 children are selected out of thousands that apply to embark on The Long Walk, a broadcast and demented carnival attraction guised as a stimulus package where participants must walk at 3 miles per hour until they can't. Whoever is the last one walking wins a cash prize and one wish. Those who can't keep pace get their ticket, as the kids say in the movie. Though it's set in an alternate reality, with each step that these kids take, you begin to notice how similar their world feels to our current time. Before we go any further, I'm going to go ahead and drop a spoiler warning. So now's your time to pause this video, go watch The Long Walk, and then come back and let me tell you how to feel about it. Now, walk on. Death is inevitable. We all know our ticket is coming, but we don't really know when it will come. As sentient creatures, this is something we must grapple with every day. In The Long Walk, the circumstances for the children who sign up for the contest are obviously bleak. Watching them walk amongst what can only be described as the overtly empty and barren Midwestern landscapes in the world, there isn't much value left to be mined. People are struggling, and that the only seeming moment of levity is watching 50 boys march to their death. That's difficult to stomach, but that's Stephen King for you, right? Though he wrote this under an early pseudonym, Richard Bachman, the story carries all the hallmarks of a Stephen King novel, and these carry over into the movie well too. JT Mollner did a great job adapting this to the screen. The violence is horrific and brute force, but there is an intimacy, nostalgia, and quietude to the moments we spend with the characters. The children we get to know throughout the movie's runtime are all fully realized. They also sound like children, with that patented Stephen King dialogue making it evident these children so dearly wish to be men in a world where they weren't given the chance to even get that far. This bluntly amplifies the stakes and emphasizes just how bleak the state of the United States is here, that children are A, willing to risk their lives for money, and B, feel that their lives are worth risking in order to win a cash prize that could maybe, hopefully, and probably not pull them completely out of poverty or the awful circumstances they may be in. And while we don't get much of these characters' backgrounds, the movie quickly establishes that they will become easy to love. The movie opens with Ray Garrity, co-lead Cooper Hoffman, being dropped off for The Long Walk by his mother, Judy Greer, doing great work with the little screen time she's given. One of our great character actors right now. By the end of the car ride, as we watch Ray join the other kids, the stakes are claimed and we are immediately thrust into their world. There's a lot of characters to love, but the ones we really get to know are the hopeful optimist Pete McFries, co-lead David Johnson, whose performance is so exciting, the cantankerous yapper Hank Olson, Ben Yang, pulling a lot of emotional weight later in the film, the warm and endearing Baker, Tut Newitt, and the frustrating and patentedly Stephen King bully Barkovich. What a name for a bullish kid with an upsetting and effective performance from Charlie Plummer. They all look and sound like people I knew as a kid in that delicate age between puberty and young adulthood. A sense of endless confidence and constant approval seeking to look anything but meek. The seemingly small, intimate moments we share with these characters are the best parts of this movie. Eerily cozy even, like the darkest hangout movie you've ever seen. The best of these moments are usually between Ray and McFries. Hoffman and Johnson's chemistry is off the charts. Whenever Ray starts to drag, Pete is right there to pull him along and ask him to tell them a story, something, anything to keep them alert. Their character beats are endearing, charming, and loving. The way that director Francis Lawrence hones in on their relationship and makes it the focal point of the movie proves a winning formula. You begin to stop worrying very quickly that a movie about walking is going to be boring, and it's a testament to these two actors and their supporting cast that the movie works. Francis Lawrence directed the Hunger Games movies and is no stranger to dystopic movies about children in dire circumstances. The movie is well directed, and he wisely chooses to focus more on the dynamics of the kids talking than trying to make things look too flashy. The violence is sudden and shocking, sometimes spraying the camera lens with blood and viscera. Quite a few times during this movie. I do admit I wondered at the movie's start, what happens if you have to take a shit? And you get a pretty cruel answer to that question. Previous collaborator and cinematographer Joe Willems captures a gritty atmosphere, but the overall look of the movie is flat and lacks color. The pacing of the movie, however, is a triumph due in part to the work from editors Mark Yoshikawa and Peggy Ekbalian. The scenes linger just long enough to create a gut punch and then cut to the next sequence with ease. It can be quite disorienting, purposefully, as the movie definitely moves into dreamlike territory as the kids walk through the darkness. darkness. This was the scariest aspect to me. What if darkness embraces you and by sheer exhaustion, you fall asleep and never wake up again? When Ray awakens, silhouetted by the Major's tank and military vehicles, Pete keeps things brisk and light, but the terror and exhaustion on Ray's face is felt by the audience. While the characters are vibrant, the world around the Long Walk feels less fleshed out. We know that the event is broadcast to the nation, but the movie doesn't focus on the folks who are actually watching this depraved event at home. I would have liked that perspective to see how the event is censored, if at all. Some of the ancillary characters and their reveals don't work as well either. I enjoyed Mark Hamill okay, doing a less hammy but still cartoonish version of the late R. Lee Ermey as the Major. He does have some funny moments, but those serve to remove any of the assumed evil gravitas of the character and his intent. We never really figure out what his goal here is other than it is what it is. When Stebbins, riddled with sickness, reveals he is a bastard son of the Major, the reveal falls flat because we don't really have a relationship with the Major. Though the faceless nature of a draft, and given that Stephen King wrote this shortly after the Vietnam War, the lingering malice of the Major could very well be indicative of the fears of young men being whisked off to a war they didn't start and likely wouldn't see the end of. Funny that 2025 gave us another male friendship movie after Friendship and Lurker. The Long Walk is perhaps the least upsetting of the three, weirdly, because the friendship between Cooper and Johnson feels real and lived in. But that tension in their budding relationship is what keeps you glued to the screen. When they were talking to each other, or barking at Barkovich to cut it out, or reacting to the horrors around them, you're with them in that. The terrors they face are traumatic, almost so much that you begin to wonder why they were willing to subject themselves to it. It's haunting, and the emotional core of the flick began to hit me in the second act. Namely with the tragic death of Collie Parker and Barkovich's grappling with his implicit involvement with Rank being killed. It's a lot of pressure to place on kids, and it's felt by the actors as much as the audience. That being said, there could have been more emotion. I did tear up a few times by the end, and the end itself is upsetting, but I feel it didn't quite rein itself in enough. Maybe that's the point. Maybe we, or maybe it's just me, are so desensitized as a society or as humans that children being shot point blank for not walking doesn't elicit as much of an emotional punch. Could be a me problem, and maybe the movie's blunt violence illustrates more about a larger problem in me and hopefully other audience members. It is effectively bleak, and by the end you do feel real emotion and stakes for Pete and Ray. You want them both to win just as much as Pete wants to make his wish that two people can win the Long Walk. There's a through line that feels innately human, and I argue makes the movie feel warmer than colder. Sure, it's an upsetting and disturbing alternate reality that feels not far off from our own. But as the guys walk down the road, many of them are supportive. Ray and Pete play catch as they walk. When Baker squats and takes a little bit too long to pinch it, nearing the end of his 3 warnings, you can hear the pleading in their voices when they ask him to stand the hell up already. They help each other, and it highlights the idea that the best of humanity is the ability to help each other no matter how dire the circumstances. That we come together as some kind of cobbled community is a beautiful notion, no matter the terrors that persist. Ray, Pete, Hank, Baker, and even Barkovich embody these layers of humanity adeptly, and these characters are some of my favorites I've seen on screen for a while. I truly could have spent another hour with them. When things finally end, and it feels more like a screech than a subtle halt, all I'm left to wonder is, was this long walk worth it? And if so, why are our lives so valueless that we unwillingly sign up for death for a chance to live? We didn't even get to keep the friends we made along the way. This is what it feels like to live in a capitalist hellscape. And while the movie doesn't focus as much on making its theming clear, the ideas are all front and center for you. It's a horrific world we live in, and we walk and walk and walk through our lives. Some of us make it, others don't. The biggest question missing from the film is, why can't the others make it too? Why must it be survival of the fittest? The logline, Capitalism the Movie. With excellent and moving lead performances from Cooper Hoffman and David Johnson, The Long Walk promises an endearingly bleak time at the movies that will surely tug at your heartstrings just as much as make you question why the United States is still the way it is today. It also makes it clear that Cooper Hoffman and David Johnson are 2 of our finest up-and-coming stars, and I for one cannot wait to see what their next projects are going to be. What did you think of The Long Walk? Was it too plodding and brutal, or were you on the edge of your seat for this soulful story about human perseverance? Leave all the comments below, and before you go, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more. Until next time, was anyone else concerned by the lack of appropriate footwear in this movie? For God's sake, get some proper support! Still doesn't sound right.